6 ice cream brands Americans buy every week are dealing with FDA recalls, a corporate breakup, and surging ingredient costs all at the same time. By August 2026, you may notice higher prices, missing flavors, or half-empty shelves without understanding why. This countdown connects the dots behind each one, starting with the warning sign already hitting your checkout total. In the 6th place, the cost of premium and craft ice cream brands is rising fast, and there's no mystery about why. By late 2024, cocoa futures broke records, coming close to $13,000 per ton and staying above $10,000 well into 2026. That's not a blip. It's a shockwave through every chocolate swirl and fudge ribbon on the shelf. Dairy isn't far behind. In early 2026, the global dairy price index jumped nearly 7% in a single month, pushing up the cost of every creamy base and rich custard. Sugar adds more pressure, climbing over 60% since 2018 and still hovering well above pre-pandemic levels. Brands that pride themselves on real ingredients, extra cream, high cocoa chocolate, pure cane sugar, feel these spikes first. The result is simple. Shoppers are paying more for the same pint, often with no warning but the price tag. Even before recalls or corporate shakeups hit, this is the pinch you notice every time you check out. In the 5th place, Loard's ice cream faces a disruption that's both immediate and highly visible for Northern California shoppers. In April 2026, an FDA inspection uncovered more than 36 Loard's products shipped without any ingredient labeling. That means no allergy warnings, no ingredient lists, just a blank spot where critical information should be. For anyone with food sensitivities, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's a safety risk. The recall affected all retail-size containers, including both the 32-ounce paper cups and 56-ounce plastic tubs, pulling dozens of flavors from local shelves. Because Loard's operates as a regional brand, with fewer plants and a tighter distribution network, there's less backup when something goes wrong. California stores that rely on Loard's may see empty freezer sections or a much smaller selection as the company works to fix the packaging problem. Recovery tends to move slower for a local brand than a national chain, so shoppers could notice these gaps for weeks. The trust hit is real. When ingredient labels disappear, so does consumer confidence. In the 4th place, Bluebell Creameries finds itself at the center of a recall that reached far beyond a local packaging slip. In August 2025, the Brenham, Texas plant sent out more than 16,500 half-gallon cartons of Millennium Crunch. But those cartons were labeled as chocolate chip cookie dough. The problem wasn't just a misprint. Inside those mislabeled containers, the ice cream contained undeclared almonds, walnuts, and pecans, major allergens that can trigger serious reactions for some shoppers. The recall quickly expanded to cover 16 states and Puerto Rico, turning a single plant's mistake into a multi-state consumer alert. The FDA classified this as a genuine health risk, not just a technical labeling error. For Bluebell, the fallout went beyond the immediate recall. Every hour spent pulling mislabeled cartons off shelves meant lost production time and potential gaps in the freezer aisle. Even after the recall ended, the ripple effects lingered. Shoppers with allergies were left second-guessing, and store managers had to explain why a familiar brand was suddenly missing or in short supply. When a recall of this scale hits, it's not just about fixing labels, it's about restoring trust. In 3rd place, Häagen-Dazs stands out for the length and complexity of its recent recall saga. The trouble started in November 2025, when Breyers Grand Ice Cream pulled thousands of Häagen-Dazs mini dark chocolate ice cream bars from shelves across more than 30 states. The reason? Undeclared wheat, a serious allergen that puts some shoppers at real risk. The recall covered an estimated 27,280 boxes, each one flagged because the label failed to mention wheat in the ingredients. What makes this case different isn't just the size, but the timeline. The FDA kept the case open for 7 months, only closing it in June 2026, after confirming that every affected product was accounted for and removed. That's an unusually long disruption for a national brand, and it signals deeper issues than a simple label correction. Extended recalls like this often mean a full audit of production lines, extra rounds of lab testing, and back-and-forth documentation between the company and regulators. For shoppers, that translates into empty freezer sections, slower restocks, and lingering uncertainty about when favorite products will return. When a recall drags on for months, it's not just a blip. It's a sign that the underlying systems need more than a quick fix. In the second place, Talenti, Klondike, and Breyers now sit under the microscope of a brand new corporate parent, and shoppers are already feeling the effects. In December 2025, Unilever spun off its entire ice cream division, folding these familiar brands into the Magnum Ice Cream Company. The move wasn't just a change of name. It meant a shift from the stability of a global giant to the uncertainty of a standalone business, now traded on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. By February 2026, early reports flagged the new company's performance as underwhelming, with shares lagging behind analyst expectations. For consumers, that kind of financial pressure rarely stays hidden in boardrooms. Newly independent companies often respond by trimming slower-selling flavors, consolidating production, or even pulling products from certain regions to cut costs. That is not a hypothetical. Industry analysts point to this playbook every time a major brand changes hands. So if you notice fewer Talenti gelato flavors in the freezer, or Klondike and Breyers pints taking longer to return after a stockout, it is not just bad luck. These brands are now managed by a parent company under intense cost scrutiny, and the ripple effects are likely to show up right on your grocery shelf. No recall or safety scare is needed. Just a quiet reshuffling that leaves shoppers with less choice and often higher prices. And finally, in first place, Ben & Jerry's turns the question of ice cream stability into something personal and public, right on the sidewalk outside its original Burlington, Vermont scoop shop. The story starts with a major ownership shift. In December 2025, Ben & Jerry's became part of the Magnum Ice Cream Company, following Unilever's high-profile spin-off of its entire ice cream division. For most brands, a change like this would play out quietly in boardrooms and press releases. But by April 2026, Ben Cohen, one of the company's founders, had taken the fight to the street. On Free Cone Day, Cohen stood outside the flagship shop holding a banner that read, "Free the Cone Day," handing out flyers and urging shoppers to pressure Magnum to sell the brand. His message was blunt. The new owners were blocking Ben & Jerry's from speaking out on social issues, cutting off the activism that's been part of the company's identity since 1978. The protest wasn't just a media stunt. Cohen's public campaign drew local news crews, national headlines, and sparked a wider conversation about who really controls a brand's values after a corporate handoff. As of mid-2026, the dispute remains unresolved. Magnum has issued standard statements about respecting Ben & Jerry's heritage, but hasn't budged on the question of brand independence. For shoppers, this is more than just corporate drama. When a founder is willing to protest his own company's ownership, it signals serious instability, something that goes beyond routine executive turnover or marketing changes. In the past, public fights like this have often led to major restructuring or outright sales. If you're used to seeing Ben & Jerry's as a steady presence in the freezer aisle, this kind of open conflict is a warning sign. It's the clearest indicator yet that by August 2026, even the most recognizable brands could be in for changes that reach all the way to your grocery cart. Across all 6 brands, one pattern stands out. When recalls, price spikes, and corporate shakeups collide, even everyday ice cream becomes unpredictable. It's not about panic, it's about paying attention. What happens in the freezer aisle now reveals how fragile our favorite comforts really are. Stay alert.